This news is for all you PlayStation owners, Sony fans. I've been talking about it on stream for a long time. It's been rumored for a long time. Sony has to be prepping a competitor to Game Pass, right? Game Pass on the Xbox side and the PC side has been a major success, central to Microsoft's gaming business. And then there's several other companies out there that are prepping game subscription services. Apple Arcade already exists. Google Stadia is a thing, a little different. We got Amazon Luna that is technically now available, but expected to grow over time. So Sony, being the large gaming company and big brand that PlayStation is, announced their version of Game Pass. And here's I'm going to get into the nitty-gritty details, but here's my take right off the bat. This is a good thing for PlayStation owners. There's a good value to PlayStation owners in this subscription. With that said, I have a lot of criticisms that fit very much into my normal criticisms of Sony and their business model. So let's just start with the details. So to start, they're not really calling it a new service. They're saying it's an enhancement of PlayStation Plus, which is basically their online, PlayStation Network kind of thing. So this is what the base tier includes. They've got 3 different tiers, 3 different prices, which I already think is kind of overly complicating it. But the first one's called PlayStation Plus Essential. This is what you get with it. 2 monthly downloadable games, discounts, whatever that means, cloud storage for saved games, the ability to play online multiplayer games, and that's it. There's no changes basically for existing PlayStation Plus members. Everybody who subscribes to the existing PlayStation Plus gets PlayStation Plus Essential, and that is $9.99 a month or $59.99 a year. So basically stays the same. PlayStation Plus Extra, so level 2 we'll call it. This provides all the benefits of the last version, adds a catalog of 400 or so, as they say, the most enjoyable PS4 and PS5 games, including blockbuster hits from our PlayStation Studios catalog and third-party partners. Games in this tier are downloadable. The price for this is $15.99 a month. So basically, you pay an extra $5 and you get this catalog of PS4 and PS5 games so you can download and play for free. This is the same price as Game Pass Ultimate. Game Pass Ultimate on the Xbox and PC side, it covers both Xbox and PC. And it has day one releases. So all of Microsoft's Xbox Game Studios games, as well as a lot of games that they sign to release. Outriders was a big one. Back 4 Blood was a big one. Third-party games debuted day one on Game Pass. Sony has already come out and stated that they are not doing day one releases on what they're calling PlayStation Plus Essential, Extra, or Premium on their subscription service, which I think is a big mistake. And I'm going to get into this critique as I go. Sony is still stuck in the mindset that, hey, Chica, how are you? You need to buy their hardware and you need to buy their games. They don't really. This seems like they're doing this like they're having their teeth pulled. It feels like they're doing this because they feel like they have to, not because they want to have an industry-leading subscription service here. So note that there's 400 games, they say, across PS4 and PS5, basically for only $5 more than the base tier of PlayStation Plus, which isn't a bad deal. Like I said, the value of this is good. I can see this being especially great if you've got a young child at home. And games are expensive, let's face it. $60, $70, $80 for video games these days. And you want them to have a constant catalog of games, and you own a PlayStation, and only a PlayStation. The value for this, I think, is great. Your child will have tons of games to choose from. I think that is a great value, and it is a good thing for PlayStation owners from that perspective. With that said, they are not. They didn't tell us what games are going to be on here at all. Not even a hint. They say it's 400 games. I have a feeling it's going to be a lot of. You guys know I love indie games. but I'm guessing a lot of those 400 games, the fact that they're not putting out a centerpiece, this has no centerpiece game or games or publisher. You know, their games will likely be the centerpiece, which are good. It's PlayStation Studios games, and we all know that PlayStation publishes really high quality games, but they're not coming on day one. So when are they gonna come? Are they gonna come 3 months down the road, 6 months down the road? I mean, I assume you're already gonna get a great backlog of PlayStation Studios games. You know, God of War, The Last of Us, you know, those kinds of things. I'm expecting some real classics in there. But the fact that it's not a very forward-facing service, where, you know, on the Xbox side, you know, if you subscribe to Xbox Game Pass, or just Game Pass, they call it, you get every Xbox Game Studios release on day one. That's a huge value and a huge incentive, because even if you play, like, it's like 2 games on the service a year, you're getting your value. So I don't know, pretty, again, I think this is a good PlayStation Plus Extra is a good value for PlayStation owners. I just don't think they're not really going above and beyond. They're not trying to really lead the way with this service. They're not trying to incentivize people to buy PlayStations with this service. It's just a service for people who already own PlayStations. Whereas if a Game Pass, in my opinion, is robust enough to incentivize people to buy an Xbox or buy a PC and then subscribe based on just the existence of Game Pass. But then there's a third tier. The third tier provides all the benefits of the last 2 tiers. It includes an additional 340 games over the last tier. So if you subscribe to the top tier, you're going to get an extra 340 games over the previous one. So now we're looking at about 750 games or so. PS3 games are going to be available for streaming. A catalog of PS3 games, but also a catalog of, this part's kind of exciting, of classic games from the PlayStation, the original, the PlayStation 2, and PSP. So you'll get cloud streaming access to PlayStation, PlayStation 2, PSP, and PS4 games. Blah, 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 blah. It does say customers can stream games using PS4, PS5, and PC, which I didn't catch the first time. If that part is true, and PC, that's very interesting. Note, though, that they don't say PS5 games. So it seems that they're holding back on the PS5. Like, they're not gonna let you stream PS5 games to PC like Microsoft does, like Stadia does, like Luna does. They really do not. Sony is making it clear that they still want front and center. They're to buy their console, buy our games. They while they're enabling streaming, they're dipping their toe in the water. They're enabling a subscription service. They're not. They're still platform. What's the opposite of agnostic? Centric. They still want everything flowing through PlayStation, whereas on the Game Pass side, they're saying play our games anywhere. Xbox is saying we don't care where you play our games, just play our games. Like, that's the big thing. It's a big difference. One is trying to be platform agnostic. One is trying to still filter everything through PlayStation. And then here's another thing. Time-limited game trials will also be offered in this tier, so customers can try select games before they buy. I don't think that this is really a benefit. I've criticized EA for this as well. EA offers like 10-hour trials of their games if you subscribe to their service, which is like $60 a year or something like that. I don't think that's really a benefit. Technically on paper it is, but I would not fork out my money to try a game. You know, you release demos of your games, that's marketing. You give free demos of your games to try to incentivize people to actually buy them. This is saying, well, hey, you can play demos of our games if you subscribe to our service. Not a huge fan of that. But anyway, this top tier, costs $17.99 a month, which is only $3 more than the last tier. So for $3 more a month, you're going to get access to these classic games, which I might argue the best part of this. You know, PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 have there's so many classic games on those consoles that even Sony themselves published. This reminds me of like what Nintendo's doing with their subscription service, where if you subscribe to Nintendo, whatever they call it, online, you know, they're putting all their NES games and they're putting all their Super NES games, and now I think they're moving to N64, right? That is appealing to be able to go back and play. The licensing for some of these games may be difficult because some of these franchises have changed hands, but to be able to go back and play Toomba, Toomba was a Sony game, right? I'm trying to think of what the classic Sony PS1 games were. Back in the day, Crash and Spyro were, but now those are Activision Blizzard properties. So you might not be able to get those. We'll see if they can strike a deal for those or whatever. But there are a lot of PS1 and PS2 classics that being able to stream those games would be cool. What this completely misses, however, and yes, existing PlayStation Plus members get the bottom tier, which is basically what you already have. It doesn't really change. What this is missing, this is not really a solution to backwards compatibility. Something that Sony has been criticized for, I guess, is like all their old games are kind of left behind. You know, you can't go back and play a PS1 game. You can't put your PS1 disc in your PS5 or your PS4. You can't even buy those games to download them again unless they get re-released. And this doesn't solve that. Same thing for PS2. Same thing for PS3. Unless they get re-released and put on the PlayStation Store again for PlayStation 5, those games, you know, they're kind of lost in time. They're inaccessible. And while some of those games may come to this service, they're only included in the service. You can't just, you know, use your old game. You can't just buy an individual game. You can't go back and buy the original Siphon Filter or whatever, you know, from PlayStation 1, or the original Metal Gear Solid from PlayStation 1 on PS5 and play it. And this doesn't really solve that problem for them. And it also, see, what I think Sony should be focusing on, and they're being very hesitant here to do this. PlayStation has made some amazing games, like PlayStation themselves, Sony themselves, and they are not really embracing growing those properties or brands by, for example, expanding them to PC. They are slowly bringing some of their games to PC. They brought God of War to PC. They brought Horizon Zero Dawn to PC. They brought, oh gosh, what was that motorcycle game that kind of flopped? Days Gone. They're bringing select games to PC. I would have loved to have seen in this top tier, even if, I mean, ideally they would do it day one, right? Like Microsoft does, like release their games day one on PC, to try to grow those properties. Because hey, if people are paying money, or if they're paying Sony to play their games, I mean, that's a net positive for them, right? That's a good thing. I would have liked to have seen them put, in an ideal world, even day one. Like, if you pay for our subscription, you'll be able to play our games day one on PC and PlayStation. They didn't even do it on PlayStation though, let alone PC. I would even be okay with, hey, if you pay for our subscription, you'll get to play our games on PC 6 months after they release on PlayStation. I'm fine with that. I would pay for that. I would wait for that. And that would get me, somebody who doesn't own a PlayStation, giving money to Sony, giving money to the PlayStation brand, engaging with PlayStation franchises and properties, probably buying microtransactions and DLC in their games, which should be what they want. But Sony operates on this island, kind of, where they think everything needs to flow through PlayStation hardware, and you need to actually buy the games. So my assessment of this in general is it's a good value for PlayStation owners. I truly believe that. Again, it's a great value for like retro gamers who want access to those old PS1 and PS2 games. It's a great value for parents with kids, I think. just to have access to. There's no doubt it's a great value, the amount of games that you get access to, but they're not being specific about what games are on here. I think this launches in July, by the way. Oh, here we go. They do have, here's a list of games. Sorry. Death Stranding, God of War, Spider-Man, Mortal Kombat 11, and Returnal. Those are good games, but it's almost like a backlog. It's like a greatest hits. It's not like a forward-facing service that incentivizes you to buy a PlayStation 5 or anything like that. So for PlayStation fans, for parents, retro gamers, I think the value is good. I think it's there. I mean, the base tier of what you already pay now for PlayStation Plus, $9.99 a month. The top tier of this is only, $9 more than that. That's not bad. It's not bad, but I don't think it goes far enough to actually compete with Game Pass. Will they get a good amount of subscribers? Yeah, I'm sure that they will. But if they're not going all in on it, they're not gonna make enough money on it to kind of reinvest back in it like Microsoft is with Game Pass. Microsoft is pulling out the stops, and they're saying, they've got what, 25 million subscribers that are paying between $10 and $15 a month. I mean, that's a lot. That gives them a lot of money to spend on Game Pass, to invest in game development, to sign new games to bring to Game Pass day one. Whereas Sony kind of came at this from a perspective of, let's put something together, a little PlayStation Plus premium kind of thing. They'll get a little collection of games, and we'll have a Game Pass competitor, but we're not gonna go toe to toe with it. We're not gonna put our games out there day one, which I think is silly. We're not gonna really go all in on PC or streaming to mobile, which they should. And this isn't to say that Sony's not doing other things to try to build their brands. They did just buy a mobile gaming company, I believe. They are doing a lot with their franchises and converting them to shows and movies. The Uncharted movie came out this summer. We've got the Last of Us show coming. So it's just a different strategy, and it's again, the value's fine. Value's decent, but it's definitely not a gaming industry leading service. But I am glad to see some of these PS1, PSP, and PS2 titles being brought forward, and I hope Sony commits to saying at least all of their own games, all of their own published games, will make it onto this service eventually if they aren't already. So that's my thoughts so far. We'll see where it goes. I'm expecting Destiny 2 to be part of this service eventually, because Sony's gonna own Bungie when the deal closes. But will that mean that you'll get the Destiny 2 expansions day one? According to their current strategy, not really. So who knows? We'll see where it goes, but it's out there. Let me know what you guys think if you're watching this on YouTube later in the comments. Tell me what you think of it.